More Republicans want Roy Moore to drop out of the Alabama Senate race, but it doesn't look like he's budging. 4 women confirmed to CBS News that Moore pursued them when they were teenagers and he was in his 30s. On Monday, a 5th woman came forward. She said Moore sexually assaulted her when she was 16. Here's Manuel Bojorquez.
Mr. Moore attacked me when I was a child.
Beverly Young Nelson says when she was 16 years old, Roy Moore offered her a ride home from her job as a waitress. But once in his car, she says he sexually assaulted her.
Mr. Moore reached over and began groping me, him putting his hands on my breasts. Instead of stopping, he began squeezing my neck, attempting to force my head onto his crotch.
She says she struggled until he let her go. At today's press conference, Nelson brought along her high school yearbook, which she says was signed by Moore. The message calls her a sweet and beautiful girl. Nelson is the 5th woman to accuse Moore of pursuing teenage girls when he was in his 30s. One says he groped her when she was 14. Moore has denied any wrongdoing and calls it all a witch hunt.
I think he should step aside.
Last week, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Moore should drop out of the race if the allegations were true. Today, he dropped the qualifier.
Do you believe these allegations to be true?
I believe the women, yes.
Moore fired back on Twitter, saying McConnell should step down for failing conservatives. The scandal has Republicans scrambling. Some have suggested Alabama voters write in Luther Strange, who lost the primary to Moore. In Alabama, Moore's loyal supporters remain just that. More than 50 pastors have signed a letter saying Moore is being persecuted and urging Alabamans to vote for him. Eric Swenson says he hadn't even planned on voting, but now he will.
And there's been some allegations against him that are just so obviously politically motivated that it got me mad enough to say, I'm going to put some signs up.
This afternoon, the chairman of the National Republican Senate Committee said senators should expel Moore if he wins. With the election just a month away, one state senator hears some things up this way, quote, God help us as we sort through the mess. Elaine, we should also point out that late this evening, Roy Moore and his wife Kayla addressed a local TV camera, once again denying the latest accusation and all the other ones. I believe we just have that tape in-house so that we can listen in to what he said.
Okay, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank all the people in Gallup that have come at this late hour and for being here. I want to address what's been brought out on television today by Gloria Allred and a client that she has about things I allegedly did. I want to make it perfectly clear. The people of Alabama know me. They know my character. They know what I've stood for in the political world for over 40 years. And I can tell you without hesitation, this is absolutely false. I never did what she said I did. I don't even know the woman. I don't know anything about her. I don't even know where the restaurant is or was. And if you look at this situation, you'll see that because I'm 11 points ahead, or 10 or 11 points ahead, this race being just 28 days off, that this is a political maneuver and has nothing to do with reality. It's all about politics. I'd like to let my wife make a few statements.
I've been married to this man for 32 years. We've been together for 33 altogether. He has never one time lifted a finger to me. He is the most gentle, most kind man that I have ever known in my life. He's godly, he's loving, and everybody in this community knows it. These are our church members, these are our family, these are our friends, these are people that know him just like I do. These things are false, and it's ugly. It's the ugliest politics that I've ever been in my life.
So, Manny, for our viewers just joining us, we were listening there to Kayla Moore and Roy Moore standing with a group of supporters as we heard Mrs. Moore just outline church members, family members, and friends, many, many supporters, including some people that you've spoken to in Alabama who think that the accusations against Moore are politically motivated. Have any of the folks that you've spoken with talked about the growing list of Republican lawmakers withdrawing support for him?
They have, and at this point, these really loyal supporters say it doesn't matter to them. They feel that that is part of the Washington establishment that Roy Moore is supposed to shatter when he gets to the Senate, if you will. At least that's what they are hoping. So they're not willing to abandon him. The fact that other Republicans have come out against him really doesn't faze them at all. In fact, at the GOP office for the state of Alabama here in Birmingham, we saw, and you saw in the piece there, that people were showing up to pick up the Roy Moore yard signs, and they said they hadn't thought about doing that before until all these allegations came out, and now they feel like they really have to come out and support him.
So South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted Monday that he thinks Roy Moore should step aside, adding that, quote, if he continues, this will not end well for Mr. Moore. Based on what you've just said and what we've seen in your piece, Manny, it sounds like this is precisely the kind of thing that is fueling the supporters of Roy Moore in Alabama.
That's right, and you have a lot of Republicans who may not necessarily support Roy Moore, who are now very much concerned about what could happen with this election. Again, just a month away. They're concerned that if you have a split with a write-in candidate, a split of the Republican voters there, it could tip in favor of the Democrat. But it sounded today that from the Senate Majority Leader, I don't know, that maybe he's willing to give that up because he just doesn't want to have to deal with Roy Moore possibly getting to the Senate with all these allegations still right behind him.
All right, Manuel Bojorquez reporting from Birmingham for us. Manny, thanks so much.